they can't stand J.D. Vance, Jedi J.D. Vance, Skywalker, J.D. Jedi Vance Skywalker. They can't stand J.D. Vance. They absolutely can't. They throw the liberal force at him, and he absolutely microwaves it, nukes it, and obliterates it. Okay? And you got Emperor Biden Palpatine, Sith Lord Kamala, and Tampon Tim. Don't ask me why we call him that. Well, why they call him that. You don't want to know. And yeah, they absolutely just hate J.D. Vance. They throw the liberal force at him, and he absolutely just nukes it. And it's a beautiful sight to see. Okay, so that's that. We're here to get into this. It's an absolutely crazy clip, okay, of J.D. Vance, well, being J.D. Vance and just being the best vice president. Just outstanding, okay? So we're going to get right into it. If you're new here, welcome to the King Squad, the best reaction channel on YouTube. And if nobody told you today, I hope you're having a great and awesome day. You woke up this morning and you're awesome. Shout out to the King Squad. You guys are the bomb.com. And we popped 100,000 subscribers. Absolutely amazing. And I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you guys. Okay, you made this kid's dream come true. All right. And I absolutely mean that, okay? I'm blown away, and I owe God all glory to God, okay? And, yeah, we're here to get into it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps the channel out. Be sure to share these videos as well. We're here to expose the truth. And thank you to everybody who emails me and donates to the channel and all that. You guys are the bomb.com. Thank you to all. Thank you for all the support, okay? Nothing is unnoticed, and everything is appreciated, okay? And that's that. I hope everybody's drinking the water and making their money legally. This is not financial advice. Let's get into the video.
Operates.
Joining me now is Senator J.D. Vance, a top finalist to be former President Trump's running mate. Senator Vance, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to talk to you about the immunity ruling and the implications. This is what Donald Trump said last year about wanting to target his political opponents. Take a listen.
I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family.
Senator, if former President Trump were to win, if you were to be his vice president, would you support him appointing a special prosecutor to go after his political enemies, the Bidens?
Well, first of all, Kristen, I find it interesting how much the media and the Democrats have lost their mind over this particular quote. Donald Trump is talking about appointing a special prosecutor to investigate Joe Biden for wrongdoing. Joe Biden has done exactly that for the last few years and has done far more in addition to that to engage in a campaign of lawfare against his political opposition. I think what Donald Trump is simply saying is we ought to investigate the prior administration. There are obviously many instances of wrongdoing. The House Oversight Committee has identified a number of corrupt business transactions that may or may not be criminal. Of course, you have to investigate to find out. So I think Donald Trump saying, look, let's do the basic work of investigating wrongdoing is a totally reasonable thing for him to do. And frankly, the Biden administration has done far worse. So if you think that what Donald Trump is proposing is a threat to democracy, isn't what Biden has already done a massive threat to our system of law and government?
Senator, just to be very clear, though, Joe Biden didn't appoint a special prosecutor. The Attorney General did that. Trump was indicted by grand juries. He was found guilty by a jury of his peers in New York. But can we just go back to the core question here? Would you support him taking such an action? It sounds like you're saying, yes, you would.
I would absolutely support investigating prior wrongdoing by our government. Absolutely. That's what you have to have in a system of law and order, Kristen. But I have to reject the premise here. Joe Biden appointed the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who, of course, answers to Joe Biden, can be fired by Joe Biden. So the idea that the Biden administration has nothing to do with the appointment of the special prosecutor, I think, completely betrays a misunderstanding of how our system of government actually works. And of course, Kristen, we have to make this point Kristen, that the prosecution of Donald Trump in New York, which I think now is fundamentally been thrown in doubt by this immunity case, it was one of the main guys was a Department of Justice official in the Biden administration who jumped ship to join a local prosecutor's office to go after Donald Trump.
And yet the DOJ
if that
told
doesn't make you question the legitimacy of the prosecution, that's a problem.
Well, Senator, that happens all the time.
She looks just wild, like a wild animal, like just these beady eyes and just insane, just rage. He's making too much. He's making things make sense again. I'm allergic to things that make sense. That's how she looks. She just looks like, I can't stand this. I absolutely love it. We're here to watch it, okay? JD Vance is like Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was actually in the ring, okay? And that's just what it is. Shout out to Mike Tyson. Shout out to JD Vance. Absolutely love seeing JD Vance just absolutely obliterate these wicked people. God bless him, man. I'm gonna just keep my comments to myself. I'm gonna save most of it for the back end. Let's just go, man. It's crazy. Love to see it. Look at these beady eyes. This is crazy. They hate it.
People are appointed.
Legitimacy of the prosecution, that's a problem.
Well, Senator, that happens all the time. People are appointed from Washington, but the DOJ told Congress, testified this week
Kristen,
that it reviewed
it happens.
Hold on, Senator.
Are you really
finish.
saying, Kristen?
Senator, let me finish my sentence.
All
I'll let you finish. Hold on.
The numbers.
Let me just finish this. The DOJ told Congress this week it reviewed all communications since Biden took office and found no contact between federal prosecutors and those involved with that case in New York. Can you stick to the substance of the question, though? Let me just ask, because I just want to stick with this line of theory that you are laying out, which is you are saying it's not okay for Joe Biden to weaponize the Justice Department. If it's not okay for Joe Biden to weaponize the Justice Department, as you say, which there's no evidence of that, why is it okay for Donald Trump to do that?
Whoa! No evidence of Joe Biden weaponizing the Justice Department? What do you call him literally attacking Trump with Judge Engoron and all those other corrupt judges and everything, putting out these ridiculous, just hitting Trump with these ridiculous fines and all that kind of stuff? What do you call that? Trying to lock him up and send him to these ridiculous prison islands and all that nonsense? What is that? What is that? Before they ushered well, I'm not going to say what I want to say, but I'll just say Kamala Harris, right? To keep it PG-13 at least. But yeah, they're just ushering, before they ushered Kamala Harris, okay, you had Joe Biden literally attacking his political opponent via the court system. How wicked, just wicked. And she's just denying that.
For Joe Biden to weaponize the Justice Department. If it's not okay for Joe Biden to weaponize the Justice Department, as you say, which there's no evidence of that, why is it okay for Donald Trump to do that?
What?
Well, Kristen, first of all, you said that it happens all the time, that the number 3 person in the Department of Justice jumps ship to join a local prosecutor's office to go after the president's political opponent. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of American democracy, and I don't think that we should legitimize it. Now, if Donald Trump's attorney general had his number 2 or his number 3 jump ship to a local prosecutor's office in Ohio or Wisconsin, and that person then went after Donald Trump's political opposition, that's a different conversation.
Senator,
all he's suggesting is that we should investigate credible arguments of wrongdoing. That's all that Donald Trump is saying. That is not a threat to democracy. That's merely reinforcing our system of law and government.
Bottom line, you are...
Jesus, let the man finish. She's out here speaking in Atlas, almost speaking in vowels out here, okay? This is ridiculous. They just can't stand common sense. They just absolutely hate it. They're like, we have to deal with JD Vance. Give him hell. and it goes in reverse. Him just speaking in common sense, and they just go nuts. It's crazy.
Okay with Donald Trump appointing a special prosecutor to go after his political enemies, which would include Joe Biden. You're just, to button that up, it sounds like you're saying yes. Let me move on, though, to my next question. I want to talk to you about the Heritage Foundation. It's a conservative think tank in Washington. It shapes the agenda they would like to see in a Trump second term. The president said this after the Supreme Court's ruling this week. Take a look.
We're in the process of taking this country back. No one in the audience should be despairing. No one should be discouraged. We ought to be really encouraged by what happened yesterday. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Do you support those calls for a revolution, and would political violence ever be justified?
Well, of course, political violence is never justified, Kristen. You'll have to ask the president of the Heritage Foundation to defend his remarks if you'd like to do that. I will say, look, the Heritage Foundation does a lot of good work. It does a lot of things that I disagree with, a lot of things that I agree with. But the Heritage Foundation is a nonprofit organization that works on public policy, and I think it's an important part of how D.C. functions and operates. We'll continue to have important conversations in the Republican Party with a whole host of think tanks from the right and from the left as we craft public policy. That's the way the city works. And again, I'm not going to be the person who serves as the spokesperson for the Heritage Foundation. I don't have any affiliation.
Sounds like you're distancing yourself from those comments that talk of political violence.
Look, Kristen, I certainly don't think political violence is justified. That's certainly actually not what I think that Kevin Roberts was saying to begin with. But again, have him on your program to defend what he said, and I think that's the best thing to do.
Let me ask you specifically about Project 2025 for our viewers so that they know. It's basically a policy blueprint for a second Trump presidency. It's supported by the Heritage Foundation and other conservative groups. The Biden campaign has said Project 25, quote, should scare every single American. It would give Trump limitless power over our daily lives. Among the things they are calling for is reversing approval of the abortion pill, mifepristone. But Donald Trump says he supports access to that pill, actually. Do you support access to abortion medication as Donald Trump does?
Well, Kristen, you asked about Project 2025, and I want to be clear here. That Trump explicitly has said his own transition team runs the Trump transition and will run the Trump administration. Again, you have a whole host of organizations, some of which have good ideas, some of which have bad ideas, and some of which have both. And I'm sure the Trump administration will talk to a lot of people as it's crafting an agenda to bring back American manufacturing jobs, to lower inflation, and to bring peace and prosperity back to the world. That's the whole reason why me and so many others are trying to reelect Donald Trump, is because the agenda actually worked. It was his agenda, and I think it'll work again for the American people. On the question of the abortion pill, what so many of us have said is that, look, we certainly don't. The Supreme Court made a decision saying that the American people should have access to that medication. Donald Trump has supported that opinion. I support that opinion. I think it's important to say that we actually have to have an important conversation in this country about what our abortion policy should be. Donald Trump is the pragmatic leader here. He's saying most abortion policy is going to be decided by the states. We want to make it easier and more affordable for young women and parents to have families to begin with. We want to lower housing costs, eliminate those surprise medical bills that so many families see after they have.
I'm mad that she's saying yeah and yup, like she's in agreement with young families. Okay, she's literally fighting to delete. Let me stop. Okay, this is something that is very annoying to me because they keep pushing this. They keep pushing Trump is racist and deleting kids. And I'm like, really? I mean, I get it's really sad how many simpletons there are, because a lot of people are really going to vote for that kind of stuff. And the thing is, like I said in my previous video, pushing for that kind of stuff, it's all surface level. You vote for that kind of stuff, and then you invite this whole wicked agenda of things that come with Waltz and Kamala Harris that it just tears up your life. Okay, this whole wave of just different laws and tax codes and policies that destroy your everyday life. Okay, all because you voted for. I'm gonna just vote for because the other guy's orange man is racist and delete kids. Yeah. We're gonna vote for that. And then boom, and you wonder why life is difficult and you can't afford a loaf of bread. It's I mean seriously. I'm not gonna get too deep into that conversation for a plethora of reasons. But yeah, it's really just they keep throwing the same surface level things to usher in communism, to usher in socialism and finish the job that Biden started. It's just, and then they act like we don't see it. Okay, it's just ridiculous.
lower housing costs, eliminate those surprise medical bills that so many families see after they have a baby. That's the Trump and Republican approach to this issue. Meanwhile, Joe Biden wants taxpayer-funded abortion up to the moment of birth. It's so crazy to me how the Democrats frame this as Republicans. Just let me finish, Kristen. They frame Democrats as being reasonable and pragmatic when in reality, Republicans are the one trying to find some common ground here.
As you know,
also, I just want to say, I meant no offense to anybody really quick, because I'm thinking about what I just said, and I'm like, I'm reiterating how people think, okay? The general masses of people, and from what I see via social media and how people are reacting to all this kind of stuff, and how the everyday liberal might see Trump in a bad light. That was what I was reiterating. I just want to state that and make that publicly known so there's no confusion. We're going to just rewind this part because this is really interesting. And look at her face here. Okay. She just you see Vance just like, hey, whatever you're trying to make it out to be, I'm telling you, it's not. And then she's like anti-common sense commie TV host. It's just nuts.
It's so crazy to me how the Democrats frame this as Republicans. Just let me finish, Kristen. They frame Democrats as being reasonable and pragmatic when in reality, Republicans are the one trying to find some common ground here.
As you know, very few abortions take place later in pregnancy, and almost always because there is a medical emergency. I know Trump is trying to distance himself from Project 2025, but we have to point out that a number of people who are involved with it are former Trump officials, Ben Carson, Peter Navarro, Russ Vought, and others. But just to be clear, you support mifepristone being accessible.
Yes, Kristen, I do. But again, on the Project 2025 issue, what the media and the Democrats are trying to do is attach its most unpopular elements to the Trump administration. It's a 900-page document. I guarantee there are things that Trump likes and dislikes about that 900-page document, but he is the person who will determine the agenda of the next administration. All he said very explicitly is, I am in charge of the next administration because I'm the person running for president. It's just important to make that clarification.
Let me ask you something that caught our eye. This is something you wrote in the New York Times op-ed in 2017 about former President Barack Obama. You criticized his policies, but you also said, quote, "It is one of the great failures of recent political history that the Republican Party was too often unable to disconnect legitimate political disagreements from the fact that the president himself is an admirable man. For at a pivotal time in my life, Barack Obama gave me hope that a boy who grew up like me could still achieve the most important of my dreams. For that, you write, I will miss him. And the example he set," you wrote that just days before Donald Trump was inaugurated. Do you still consider Barack Obama to be an admirable man who you miss?
Well, you know, I grew up in a broken family, Kristen, and I just wanted to be a good husband and dad. And certainly Barack Obama, despite my many political disagreements with him, he's clearly a good husband and a father. By the way, I'd say the same thing about Donald Trump, whose children love him. And I think this is one of the things the media often misses about Trump is how genuinely devoted he is to his family, to his grandchildren, and how part of his pro-life messaging, his fundamental pro-life view, is that we ought to make it easier for more American families to have those thriving children and thriving families. So certainly I think we've been blessed with a lot of good examples across our country. And yeah, absolutely. Was Barack Obama a good president? No. Was he a good husband and father? Yes.
So he's still an admirable man?
Jesus. Oh my
That's just what I said, Kristen. Absolutely.
All right. I have to ask you about Veep stakes. Of course, have you gotten the call from Donald Trump? Has he asked you to be his running mate?
Okay. And we know the rest of the story from here on. So we're going to just get right into this, okay? You just see, oh, wow. Look at that face. And so, all right. So, the attack on J.D. Vance is wild. I would say just as wild as the attack on the nuclear family out here, okay? And the attack on common sense and the attack on freedom of speech and the attack on truth and all that. They're just anti all of that. And it's clear as day. Okay, you see this smirk on her face as she's literally trying to assassinate his character and everything he stands for. Okay, and it's just wild. You're trying to trip him up and tie his shoes against him, and tie his shoelaces up so he'll trip. it's just wild. And then they're surprised that we see it. It's like we catch them in the act, and then they're like, huh, what? I would never do such a thing. You're doing it right now. And yeah. And here you have JD Vance consistently showing up, being extremely articulate, very on point, I would say, very on point, and very just being an amazing intellectual, extremely intelligent, all that kind of stuff, and just really just on his A game. He's really on the ball. He really just doesn't miss, in my opinion, and they try so hard, and he just consistently just goes with the flow, and seemingly so effortlessly. It's just amazing how he does this. And this is why I say with each of these clips that we see that continuously come out, I consistently really am impressed by Trump's decision making all the more, picking JD Vance as his VP. Okay, more and more I understand now why Trump picked JD Vance. I'm like, wow, okay, this guy, I definitely can see this guy running for president. I definitely see JD Vance literally, okay, for 2028 presidency. Okay, it's just clear as day. Some people said, can you imagine an office with JD Vance and Vivek? I think that'd be absolutely amazing. I think that'd be awesome. That's a sight to see right there. They're the dynamic duo, and they're both just on fire, like in all the right ways. Okay, and yeah, I think that'd just be extremely fire to see, and that's something I'd definitely be there to support. So that's my thoughts about it, guys. You guys comment down your thoughts below. What do you think JD Vance and Vivek would look like in office together? I think that'd be just amazing. That's like seeing the Avengers in person, but like with like real life superpowers. And yeah, and they already can't stand these guys, and these guys are really on point. Some people say that we have a new breed of conservative, and I actually agree with that completely. I think that this new wave of conservatives is really like is very just proactive, and that's something that I'm seeing even amongst myself and my peers and stuff like that. I definitely see that a lot of people are fed up. A lot of people are looking at Trump, okay, saying, you know what, Trump is not this bad man that the left is trying to paint him to be. And we see the same thing with JD Vance. They're trying to paint him as you're on board with Trump, so that makes you a bad guy too. And he consistently proves them wrong. And a lot of people are looking at Trump and realizing that he's what's good for America. Okay, Trump's policies is what, even if you disagree with certain things, the majority of his policies is what's needed for America. Okay, there's like no policies from Kamala Harris that is good for America, and we all see it. Okay, you see what Tim Walz stands for, and you see and you see people are fed up. People are on edge. It's kind of even scary to make friends these days. That's how bad the economy has gotten. I'm not even like, I'm kind of like nervous to even say hello to somebody. They might just explode and start talking like DMX, start barking in my face, because people are on edge. People are on edge. People are fed up with this economy. People are trying to feed their families, and they want to keep this wicked Palpatine Biden administration in place, and people are seeing it and saying, no, I'm done. Trump 2024 and JD Vance 2028. And that's what we're seeing. So I really think it's an amazing sight to see. And this is coming from a guy who, grew up in a Democrat family and all that kind of stuff. I grew up Democrat, and I eventually left because there were so many like limiting beliefs and thinking I couldn't be anything due to like skin color or oppression or whatever the case may be. And that's like completely the opposite. I'm out here with 100,000 subscribers, all thanks to you guys. So first things first, to God be the glory. And yeah, Trump 2024. So, and yeah, we work hard out here. That's that. So other than that, I hope everybody's having an awesome and amazing day at whatever time you're watching this video. And yeah, I apologize for the late uploads. It's been one heck of a day since hitting 100K. It's just been amazing. And yeah, I hope everybody's drinking their water, making their money legally. This is not financial advice. And yeah, if nobody told you today, you're an amazing person. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.